my goal is to stay married. Like, I just want to be married for the rest of my life. I don't want to fuck it up. I want what my grandparents had. You know what I mean? No, I'm serious. That's all I want. My grandparents were married over 60-something years. You know what I mean? That's what I want. I want that. You know, a lot of that had to do with, well, my grandfather cheated on her when they were younger, and she took him back, and I think that helped, because that was a wrap. That motherfucker never said anything ever again. Like, you know, like, never won an argument. Nothing. I'm dead serious. Like, she'd be like, I feel like going to the movies. He'd be like, I feel like sitting home today. Well, I didn't feel like you fucking that flapper back in 1920. All right, let's go, get your coat. You know, we weren't even married yet, but that's okay. I was just overseas fighting for the country. Life was rough for them, man, you know? My grandfather was always ready to get down. He used to make weapons. Like, he had weapons all the time. You ever see those old man weapons and shit, like they would make, like, in the shed? My grandfather had a sock with, like, $900 worth of quarters in it, just fucking... You ever see the shit they would make? He had an axe handle that was, like, this big, right? That he would keep under the seat of his Lincoln that he would drive around with tape at the bottom of it, I guess for grip, right? And then a fucking nail in the top of it. And I remember as a kid going, what's that for? He's like, just in case. I mean, in case of what? Like, what are you, Braveheart? What the fuck is that thing? By the way, the reason why we were in Florida is because my grandparents retired there. You understand? So that's why my grandparents really helped raise me and my brothers. You know, we were always down there. Now, both my grandparents worked. My grandfather worked at a gas station and my grandmother worked at a bank, okay? Now, they used to have to get us babysitters, right, to watch us because they both worked. Now, the whole purpose we were down there was to stay out of trouble, but it really didn't matter because me and my brothers were horrible kids. Like, we were like the Simpson kids. Seriously, we were terrible. Like, we ran through babysit, like we had this one babysitter, okay? We used to call her Aunt Face, right? Now, she was this big lady from the South, right? And she looked like this. And she looked like a fucking ant. That's why we called her Aunt Face, right? Now, if you're not familiar with Florida, there's still pockets that are very very southern. You understand? And now, I don't know if you're familiar with a switch. You know what that is? Okay. Well, down south, when you're acting up, there's a thing called a switch. She'll be like, go outside and break me off a switch, right? And we're from Jersey, like, what the fuck's a switch? Well, if you don't know, they take you outside, they make you pick out a tree branch, right? You have to break it off, you give it to them, and then they fucking hit you with it. It's like some sadistic, like, Guantanamo Bay, Hannibal, like a mind, like, why do I gotta pick the weapon you're gonna beat me with, right? So the next time we were acting up, Aunt Face is like, go outside and break me off a switch, right? So now I'm like, fuck you, Aunt Face, I ain't falling for that shit again, right? So Aunt Face goes, fine, I'll do it myself, right? So she went outside, right? We locked Aunt Face out of the house for like 9 hours, all right? No, I'm serious. And she was running around, like, trying to get in, like she was doing a little old lady run, you know what I mean? Where they're like going like this, like, and me and my brothers would open the door and close, like we were messing. No, dude, my grandparents had this sliding glass door, right? My older brother was opening and closing the curtain, and I was just doing that little kid dance. So Aunt Face tapped out, right? She didn't want to watch us anymore. So now, my grandmother found this last-minute replacement, and I don't know where she found this woman. There's no word to describe her other than just, like, white filth. Like, she was just white, like, she was pale and stringy hair. She had, like, scrapes and bruises and shit. Like, she looked like she fell off a bike. She was all banged out, man. And her nickname was the crazy lady. That's what we called her, right? Because, like, she would never, when she would talk to you, she would never make eye contact, right? And whatever her last words were, she would always repeat them to herself. So this is the 80s, so there's no background checks, right? So my grandmother just dropped her off. She's like, watch the kids, and fucking left, right? So I'm staring at the crazy lady. She's not staring at me. Doesn't say a word, right? She just peels off and walks into my grandparents' bedroom, and she lays on their bed all day, right? Seriously. Talked to her boyfriend all day, which was cool. She didn't mess with us. We didn't mess with her. The day's going great, okay? End of the day comes, and the crazy lady calls us into the bedroom. She's like, you kids get in here. I need to know if you cleaned your room, because if you didn't clean your room, you're not gonna go to McDonald's. Now, it's important to the story to know it was Filet-O-Fish Fridays at McDonald's, all right? Now, and the reason that's important is because when we were kids, if we were good, my grandparents would take us to McDonald's as a reward, right? And as a kid, you know, McDonald's was the shit, man. I still get excited. You know, because they had so many things for kids there. You know, you had Happy Meals, Filet-O-Fishes. Like, I thought McDonald's was so cool. I had a cousin, Steve, that worked at McDonald's, and I used to brag that I had a cousin that worked at McDonald's. And none of my friends believe me. They're like, no, you don't. I'm like, yeah, I get extra shit in my Happy Meal, like I knew people. Right? So now we go to clean the room, okay? Now, my older brother, Scotty, he's 10, that's the gay one. I'm 6. My little brother, Keith, he's 3, so he don't really count right now, right? So we're making the bed, we're trying to clean. And my older brother's gay gene kicked in, because this motherfucker could make a bed better than my grandmother. I mean, everything was perfectly folded, pillows were perfect, everything, right? So now we call the crazy lady in because she wanted to inspect the room. So I'm like, hey, crazy lady, we're done cleaning the room, you know, you want to check it out. Now, I don't know what the fuck happened, all right, but her head she started freaking out. Like, her head started going 100 miles an hour, and she was looking at the room. She's like, wow. She goes, you think this room looks clean? It doesn't look clean to me! And then freaked the fuck out, right? And just started, like, messing the bed up, knocking shit off the dresser, skipping like a fucking maniac, right? And my grandmother, you know, we're Roman Catholics, so my grandmother had, like, those creepy saint statues. She bitch slapped St. Peter on the floor. So my older brother's like, hey, lady, why are you messing the room up? Or she doesn't say a word. She just catches him straight shot. Just, right? Fucking dropped him, right? Scotty, I did the little kid thing where you laugh and then you freak the fuck out. You know, she hit him and was like, I was like, All right, here's where the story gets fucked up. Now, my brother told me to do this, all right? He denied it this whole life, but he was looking at me bleeding going, you know what you need to do. The crazy lady goes back in the bedroom, lays back on my grandparents' bed on her stomach, and starts talking to her boyfriend, laughing about what the fuck she just did, right? So I walk in my grandparents' room. I look at her, she's laughing, okay? I look at my brother, he's bleeding. Under my grandfather's nutsack of change, he had this little baby axe, okay? So I look at her, I look at my brother, I look at the axe, then I got my own voices in my head going, you gonna let her get away with that shit? That's your brother. She bitch slapped St. Peter. That's fucking sacrilege, right? I grab the axe and as hard as I can, right in the back of her leg, all right? Well, I'm 6 years old, so there wasn't a lot of torque behind it, okay? But it was good enough to get in there, man. And I don't know what the fuck I hit, but blood went everywhere. Long story boring, the cops come, right? And they're interrogating me, and I'm crying, you know, because I know we ain't going to McDonald's now. You know what I mean? Like, I know I fucked that up. And they're asking me questions, and I'm just like, ah, right? Now, my grandfather comes home. Now, mind you, back then, there was nothing, no cell phones, nothing. He just pulled up, saw an ambulance, the cops. He comes running in, he's like, what the fuck happened? And I'm just like, ah, you know, when you're a kid, you just throw out one word. I'm like, McDonald's! He's like, what the fuck? She told us to clean the room or we couldn't go to McDonald's. And Scotty told me to do it. And she punched Scotty in the face. He goes, oh, what'd she do? I go, she punched Scotty in the face. Beelines it over to her, okay? Now, she's in a blanket. She's all wrapped up, all fucking crazy, right? Her father's there, the cop's there. He walks over, he goes to the father, I feel terrible about this whole thing. Can I talk to her for a second? I want to make sure she's all right. He goes, hey, you okay? Huh? What are you, like 20-something years old? You're an adult? Listen, if you ever put your hands on my kids again, I'm gonna make one phone call, all right? I'm gonna have your head chopped off, you're gonna be wrapped in plastic, and no one will ever find you. Then he looks at me and he goes, we're going to McDonald's! Hey guys, thanks for checking out my YouTube page. If you're having a good time, make sure you hit that little subscribe button and also turn on that little notification bell so you'll be alerted every time I upload new content. I'm putting out free stand-up clips, podcasts. I even gave my hour special away for free last year, which is the reason why I can't afford pictures or books. So at least you could do is subscribe.